Hello, my bells. It's Darlene from Bellevue Integrative Wellness, and I am a joy strategist and I focus on workplace wellness by helping emotionally exhausted nurses and healthcare professionals reset their joy so that they remain in the profession that they once loved. And we are doing a series, workplace wellness series. It has been 8 weeks. The focus is on psychological safety. And for week 7, we discussed conflict within the workplace, but how we navigate it as individuals without collapsing, without falling apart, without becoming burnt out. So the thing is conflict is something that is unavoidable. It is very common in the workplace, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing if it is something that is caught early. The thing is that push and pull, that friction, um, that turns into conflict, which basically is conflict, I should say, actually is a signal for an opportunity for change to occur. Within the conflict, sometimes as individuals, when we're in that space, particularly in the workplace, it can feel very stressful, especially if we are not regulated within ourselves and our emotions and how we feel, that oftentimes we will react instead of responding, creating an environment that is stressful and that can lead to burnout. Within healthcare, conflict is a normal thing, but what's not normal or healthy is when we collapse inside of those types of environment. And that looks like shutting down, making the decision to say, I'm just gonna not say anything at all. I'd rather just be quiet. I know we've found ourselves in those places where we feel like being quiet is safer than saying anything. It can also look like the opposite, where we're over explaining, giving an explanation for every single thing because we feel like we need to defend ourselves. It also looks like reacting, as I mentioned before, where our voices may escalate, we may get louder, our body language can display frustration, and that becomes a situation where we're not operating in our professionalism. And so that is why we care about how we function within conflict and that we do not remain dysregulated. And so when you're dysregulated and you're not feeling completely stable within your nervous system, you end up feeling as though you have to react to every single thing or anything that you feel is very touchy or sharp for you. And so today is Tuesday Tools, and you know that on Tuesdays, I provide you tools that you can use in real time to be able to mitigate reactions and instead be able to function in response. And that's a way to be able to reset your joy. And so, tool number one is always, always, always about awareness. And so, tool number one is assessing your body before your words. We always check in. We check in with ourselves. We know when something is said or something is done that may feel like that it is offensive. We can feel that in our bodies. It's important to be aware when you feel those sensations. So that's your cue to be able to pause. What does that look like? Is your jaw tight? Do your shoulders feel scrunched up? Does your stomach all of a sudden get into a knot? Do you suddenly feel like, oh my gosh, I have this sudden headache because of the stress of your body escalating and reacting to what has just occurred, what has just transpired? And so you take a slow, deep breath, pause, always power in the pause in order to be able to think about what you want to say, if you want to say it, and that you have the ability to respond in a way that is professional in real time or at a later time to be able to process your thoughts properly. And tool number two is clarify instead of defending yourself. It is very easy to be in a situation that you feel like has been sharp. And when we feel something sharp, the normal reaction is a jerk reaction. We do not want that. Oftentimes, we have to ask ourselves, do I feel, after you have been aware of how your body is speaking to you, you need to clarify. do I feel this way because I have been in this situation before in the past with someone, or maybe even with this particular person, so that you feel that you're ready to be able to defend yourself? Clarify that. If it's something that is based on an emotion, or if it's something that is based on a fact. And once you're able to do that and clarify these these feelings that you have for yourself, or even the person whom you are interacting with, what is your history with that person? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Being able to clarify that has the ability to slow down the exchange. If there's tension, it brings it to a lower and steadier pace. It also gives you time when you clarify, it reduces the opportunity for just assuming. And oftentimes when we assume, we know the saying that goes with that, but we don't want to assume, because whenever we're in a situation where we feel on the defense, or that is a situation that's been raw or we've experienced before that may have been negative, um, it's easier to assume the worst. And so when we assume the worst, then the way that we react is not necessarily the best way. And again, we want to be able to respond. And having clarification, and basically asking the person, what exactly do you mean by that? Can you explain to me what you mean? Can you explain to me why you did X, Y, and Z? That allows you to buy yourself some time to process what just happened, in order to figure out, am I working within my emotions, or am I operating based on facts? And it lowers the heat, and it lowers the chances of you becoming very defensive. And tool number three is separating identity from the situation. Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with tool number two. And so when you're separating identity from the situation, again, it's a matter of asking yourself, is this situation based on who I am, or is it really what just happened? And what exactly did just happen? What are the facts in this situation that has happened? And what is also the purpose of the person or people who are also in this situation with me? What exactly does that look like? And so when you're able to mentally make a distinction between identity and the actual situation, it actually gives you a protection of boosting your confidence, protecting you from feeling unsure or insecure or second guessing yourself. And then lastly is tool number four, which is the 10% lower rule. What is that? In that moment of awareness, that power in the pause, take that time to lower your tone instead of reacting, allowing your voice to get really loud, and maybe pointing the finger and doing all this with your body language, but purposely or intentionally lower your tone, slow your pace in regards to your words and how quickly that you are speaking, lower that volume by 10%, whatever that looks like, that 10%. Lower than what you were speaking prior. That could be the 10%. But your way to measure that is that your voice is not going to dominate the tense situation. It is actually going to force or coerce the other party or parties to take it down a notch, because you're not raising your voice to a very high level where they're going to have to match you. That your voice is going to go lower than their voice, which is going to bring or simmer the conversation down to a place where you or we can all have professional and safe conversations. Because as I always say, ultimately we are there for the safety of our patients, and for them to receive optimal care. And so I close this with saying that attitudes are contagious. So bad attitudes are contagious, just like good attitudes are. And when you find yourself in a situation that's very tense, it is so important to find calmness in you. It's often easier said than done. But if you start with being aware of yourself in that moment, in the situation, to be able to have those conversations with yourself, to say, how can I take this down a notch? Because what you want is to be able to make those decisions from a place of calmness and peace. That is how you reset your joy. You reset your joy by making decisions from calmness and peace, because you want to remain in the profession that you once loved. You want to be able to pivot throughout the nursing profession with a nice, calm mind and make right choices, and not make choices out of haste or based on emotion, but based on your professional needs and your goals. So I hope on this Tuesday that wherever you are, that it's warmer than what it is in Connecticut, that it is sunny, unlike how it is in Connecticut, where we have another snow rain mix or whatever it is that they call it. So have a wonderful Tuesday evening. I hope that you're enjoying yourself, whatever it is that you're doing. Do it with joy and have fun. All right. I will see you all tomorrow for Wednesday check in. Have a